Welcome to Leehalot podcast, a space for Jewish women to share the story behind the spark, how they encountered their inner light, nurtured it, and found the courage to let it illuminate the world. This is your space to rise, to shine, and to bring your unique light into the world. Welcome to the Leehalot podcast, a space where we meet Jewish women whose journeys, talents, and mission light up the world around them. Today, I'm so happy to welcome Elinor Dahan. Elinor is a designer of unforgettable, detail-rich events that reflect beauty and refinement. And I can tell you, because I've been to many of her events and it was amazing. She's also the founder of Plux, a luxury activewear brand with a powerful message. That is, where modesty meets movement for everybody. What I love about Elinor's work is how she merges creativity, aesthetic excellence, and Jewish values in everything she touches, reminding us that beauty can be elevated when it's infused with intention. Elinor, I'm very happy to welcome you today on our podcast, Leehalot Podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm truly honored and humbled to be on your podcast, and I'm excited for this. Thank you for having me.
Hashem, thank you for coming. Where are you now? Tell us about the place you are in.
So I am living in Florida. I grew up here, born and raised. I grew up in a Moroccan home, a Moroccan home that was infused with Torah, Emunah, and values that really shaped me into who I am today, that I carry with me every single day. And through all the work that I do, it all stems from that. I always, as I reflect on the progress that I make, I look back and I see the patterns and the connection. Growing up, some of the values that were such key values that I took on with me till today are, for example, my parents' work ethic. Um, the way that they treat their employees, that they speak to people, the way that they knew what to prioritize and how to balance so many different things, and how sending us children to a Jewish school they're going to do whatever it takes to do that, to make that happen. A lot of these values are silent values. It's not necessarily things that they told us, preached to us, but it's a way of modeling that we looked up to them and we just watched, and it naturally was instilled within us. Another really
Parents arrived in the US directly from Morocco?
No, so they were both born in Morocco, and then their families separately made Aliyah to Israel, and then they met in Israel, got married, lived in Montreal, and then moved to Florida.
Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful story from Morocco, Israel, Montreal, Florida, and you were born there.
Yeah. No, I was born here. My older two siblings were in Montreal. I was born here. And then growing up, like a huge thing was achnasat orchim, the way their warmth, the way that they open their home.
Is the mitzvah of welcoming guests, of hosting guests at home, right?
Yes, sorry. Yes, thank you for explaining. Welcoming guests. My home was the home that Shabbat, Chagim, holidays, everything, it was an open home. Whoever needed a place, they knew they can be by us. And naturally, I was very drawn to, I was so happy. First of all, I love bringing people together. So I think that's where that came from, a lot of it, a big part of it. And then the creative side of me loved setting up my house for when I'm welcoming all these.
Participate as a girl to setting up the table, the Shabbat table?
Yes, ever since I was young, I was always involved in like the designing, but obviously on a much smaller scale. But I would always just like go choose the flowers and the tablescape, and even in school, actually, like I was very involved in student council, so I was organizing the Shabbatons for the grade, or color war for the school, for the student body, or things that would really bring people together. And anything that had to do with creativity, I was there. Sign me up.
Interesting how you can see that from an early age.
Yeah,
And Moroccan jewelry are very well known for their achnasat orchim, for their hospitality. The cuisine is delicious. There is a real art of hosting in Morocco,
yeah,
right?
that's
And
very true. And that's something I really valued. I don't like I don't take it lightly. I see how much work it takes to do something like that. It takes a lot, but it's so rewarding after when you see like how you're elevating the experience for not necessarily everybody is like observant. So a lot of the people that came weren't, and you're giving them that experience and to show them like how beautiful it is to be together and what the food and the culture and just the whole vibe.
your house was actually a place of elevation from physical to spiritual through hosting people on Shabbat mainly, I imagine, and giving them an experience of what a Shabbat table looks like, the energy, the beauty, which is also very important for people to see that we don't just do a mitzvah, we give that mitzvah, or how do you say, like we beautify that mitzvah? Can we say
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, you, like, make it even we elevate it, we enhance it, right?
Mhm.
Well,
Beautiful.
sure. And then a big part of me growing up was that I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit to me. I was always business-minded type of girl. Like I was dealing with overseas manufacturers at 12 years old, bringing in the latest trends, selling them in school. Like I was that girl. And then with time, like I would always do birthday parties and my family had a birthday party, somebody had a birthday, they would call me like, "Can you help me? What should I do? Give me an idea." And I started, I was like 14 at this point, and I called this company, rental company for a bounce house. And the guy, I'll never forget, he was like, "One second, how old are you?" And I was like, 14, but you could trust me. Like, I promise you. I know, just come and deliver. We'll make it happen. And he said he was so amazed. And he said to me, "Look, I don't really know you, but something about you, I want to tell you that anything I own is yours." And basically, he used to rent like Disney characters, bounce houses, all these different entertainment things. So I then created a birthday party company called Artsy Party, and I would
Wow.
contract from him and then rent out to others.
People.
Um,
That's really special. I'm very surprised that that person, well, surprised and not surprised because here in the US we can see that people really want to encourage kids to become entrepreneurs. But still, like, did you know that person before or it was the first time?
I didn't know. And I think that was like ever since I was young, a lot of people believed in me and saw things that I never saw within myself until like later on. As I continued and I got older and I was never like party planning, event design. It wasn't a thing that I ever saw myself doing long term. Neither was the fashion brand, honestly. For me, I was going to college, was getting a degree, and then working in something business, but wasn't sure what exactly. And then this is literally a testament of every single thing that I went through in my entire life and every twist and every turn and every person I met. It came full circle now. Looking back, I'm like, I went through all of that because this is exactly where I'm meant to be and exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And it became such a greater thing, which we'll go into, but that's like growing up, my relationship with business and with design and creativity and bringing people together, it was always popping up. It was something that a pattern that I kept noticing.
That is very, very interesting. You basically you also taught us a lesson is that in order to see the Hashgacha Pratit, the divine providence, we have to look back because on the moment, you don't realize that this person is actually sent by Kadosh Baruch Hu in order to open a door towards another type of opportunity for you to grow in. And now when you look back at 26 years old and you discover, wow, wait, I am standing here today because Hashem placed in my path, on my way, this person and this challenge and this other thing. And it enabled me to become that person. So you see the Yad Hashem, the hand of Hashem in that. So it's very interesting to invite our audience to do the same. It's a beautiful exercise and to try to see the hand of Hashem in our life.
If you look closely, you'll see it. It's always there. It's always there. And
So
then
you grew up in a spiritual house, right?
very, yes.
You were always Shomeret Shabbat. You always kept Shabbat.
So, no, I wouldn't I kind of grew into it.
Mhm.
My oldest sister is the one who meaning Shabbat was always a thing in my home, no matter what, but we were more traditional, like the type that we would watch TV after the meal, but there was always Friday night, always Shabbat lunch, always Kiddush, like, we had that growing up, but when I was, like, 5 or 6, I saw my family becoming more observant, and we each came back at our own pace and at our own time, and, Baruch Hashem, today we all keep Shabbat and kosher and halakha and the whole 9 yards as much as we can,
It's
and
something that you chose to embrace. It
yes,
is.
it's something that we chose, but my home was always, like, the backbone of my parents was emunah, like, the foundation of emunah was there, and that's something that when you have so much emunah, you start to, like, you live it. You know, it's easier said than done at times, don't get me wrong, but you really start to live it and to act on it, and slowly, slowly you're like, "Wait, like, there's such a bigger purpose of life," and you start to connect in a deeper way, and then Baruch Hashem, I ended up going to seminary in Israel for a year, and then I continued on to Yeshiva University in New York, where I graduated with a degree in marketing and management. Um, and just like, but really, like when I was 5, 6 years old, that's when I became more like Shomer Shabbat kosher. It's like with time, but
You
around,
grew it with
yeah.
love, with desire to grow and not forced. It was not something that was forced into you.
That was the best thing that my parents could have done for us, is that everybody was respected, and at their own time and at their own pace, they did their thing, and it worked because we're all here now.
Baruch Hashem, it's a beautiful result indeed.
So,
You go out of Yeshiva University with a degree in marketing, and then you come back to Miami.
so yeah, unplanned. COVID hit, and I was actually here for Purim. I came with a few friends. We're like, okay, let's go home, and
So
then
in March 2020.
yes. Um, and they called me and they're like, in Yeshiva University, I was a resident advisor. I was in the dorms in charge of some stuff there. And so we were a little bit, they were like telling us, okay, you're no longer allowed to come back. We're going to ship you all your stuff. And you're basically graduating on Zoom. And I was like, so not ready for that. I had a really great 3 years at YU. I was super involved there on campus. I was vice president of the of the international club and president of the Sephardic club. And I was constantly creating Shabbatons for the student body. I was having challah bakes where we would bring like world-renowned speakers to come and inspire 300 women, like very an amazing experience. And I met people from all different walks of life. And I love that. Like I love to connect. I love to meet all these neshamot. And when I went back home, I love home, like it's a beautiful place, but I wasn't prepared. I was like, okay, wait, what's next? I'm graduating, but I thought I had a little bit more time to think about what my next steps were. And actually COVID, nobody knew what was coming next. So we had a lot of time on our hands. I was home a lot. And despite graduating online, I started thinking ahead. Okay, what am I doing? And at first, as much as I'm a business-minded person and love business, I always knew I kind of wanted to study something else after getting the professional side of like why I went to YU and CERN, what I got there. But I wasn't sure what, and I knew that it had to be something that had to do with creativity or something more intentional. So like I looked into occupational therapy at one point because for me, I love working with kids and you have to be creative in the way that you work with each one and their motor skills and the whole that whole thing. And I started taking courses online, science courses to apply to a program. I ended up getting accepted and then I deferred the program because as I was taking the classes, I also had an idea. So pausing this story, it'll all
You
make
you
sense.
also had a what? Sorry?
Another idea, like as
Another.
I yeah, like as I was working on the school side of things, I was working on I always had a vision and a passion for fashion. I love fashion and I always in college, I took a lot of courses in that area and I met a lot of wonderful ladies in class and I would go up to them after each semester, certain people, and I would say, okay, one day I'm opening up a brand. I have no idea what it's going to be. I don't know what, but I know it's going to be something fun. Can I reach out to you? Like, would you want to be involved? They're like, yeah, reach out to me. Okay. So I started compiling a list of different ladies that I had in mind. And when COVID hit and I was sitting and focusing on, okay, what am I doing next? I was like, maybe this is a good time to start working on that brand. So I reach out to these ladies and I'm like, okay, I felt that there was a gap missing in the market for activewear, for modest activewear that really like was flattering for everybody, that was just up to date and trendy and quality. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna bring what's missing. So I reached out to these ladies and I had 10 of them commit to working with me for 1 year. They were interning with me, committed and believed in the company. And every Sunday morning for 2 hours, we would get on to a Zoom call, all of us. I would delegate, all right, you guys are doing this research and you're doing this research. And I was dealing with a manufacturer overseas and everybody was doing everything. And at one point, like I would fly them to Florida for team meetings or I would fly to New York for team meetings. Most of them were in New York. And together we built Plux. And I have so much hakarat tov to these women. I'll never forget each of them and their
They're
impact.
still your partners today? Some of them?
They're not, because they each ventured out in different ways. Uh, Also, I kind of took a pause with Plex at one point. So we worked on the company for 1 year. I did around 10 rounds of samples, which is, if you know in the fashion world, it's a lot, until we perfected the product. But it's never actually perfect. You always work on it. There's always room for growth. And I'm very into like taking feedback and applying it. So we are still doing that. Our first collection was a plus size exclusive collection. And when we launched, we had a really great reaction, thank God. It was very cool because a lot of the models that I hired for the photo shoot, at first my intention wasn't necessarily to just be focused on the modest market exclusively. It was modest inclusive, but I had all different. So one of the models I scouted them on social media, honestly. They had 400 followers, something like that. And then suddenly after our photo shoot, I walk into Target and I see them on the billboard and I'm like, wait, how did that happen? That's so cool. Um, and like today, looking back, they were part of it from the beginning and they believed in it then when it really was nothing. It still is. They were still growing. We're still it's always like a growing process. Um, but then basically we launched and then I showcased my brand for the first time at an event here in Florida called The Vault. They had all these different brands come together. It was really a successful event. And for me, I looked at it as like the demand is there. I want to include all sizes in my next collection. And that brings me to I was sitting at Starbucks one day and I was designing my second collection with intention that it's now going to be really for everybody. Um, and I got a call from this guy in California and he said, I got your number from a friend of yours that you were in high school with. She said that you're super creative and talented. I got engaged to somebody from Miami, and I want to hire you to do my fiance's bridal shower. So I was like, wait, like what? Like, I'm not a party planner though. Like, this is not like, it's not what I do. And then he's like, "Okay, but I'm trusting you. Like, I heard really good things. Like, just roll with it." So it's like, you know what? Why not? Let me roll with it. And I did exactly that. And I started um that event, and I posted that event on social media, and it blew up. And then from one thing led to another. But then I took a like I sat back for a second, and I look and I reflect on all of these like different back and forth between the companies and different projects, and they all have something in common. And it's like I started to see, okay, if I'm going to do this event design company, it needs to have a deeper meaning for me. Like, it needs to be something bigger, because sometimes it can be perceived as like more superficial, but there's also so much beauty within it that like people are bringing people together, and it's a simcha. And for me, it's like, okay, let me silently infuse, sometimes silently and sometimes not, but infuse Kedusha into every single event in my way, respecting obviously every client and what their wants are, but always going back to the core value and like staying true to myself, and that everything needs to have a purpose and a deeper meaning behind it. And with Plux, it was exactly that also. Like, for me, it was so important that there's options for everybody, and that people feel confident in what they're wearing, and they look good, but they can keep to their modesty. And even modesty, like, modesty to me is so much more than just what you're wearing. It's really the way you carry yourself.
It's interesting that in English, tzniut is translated as modesty, because the truth is that I feel it's restrictive. Tzniut is not really modesty. For me, tzniut is royalty, is an invitation to discover that I'm not just that body. I have an inside, I have an neshama in that body, and this is who I am. And the body is just the levush, the clothing, the garment of that neshama. And the way I am going to get dressed is going to enable my neshama to manifest itself in a certain way in this world. And I feel that modesty somehow is kind of restrictive. It feels a little, uh, it deems a little bit the power of what tzniut is. And in the world we live in, you and I, in this beautiful Western world where fashion is so important, I feel like giving a better taste of what tzniut is so important. And I love the fact that, like it, being dressed up modestly is is somehow easy. You can put like anything on you, but feeling that you're a bat melech, that you're the daughter of a king, which is our case as Jewish women, feeling dignity and dignified the way you're looked at, the way you express yourself, the way you walk in the street, the way people look at you, not because you feel like attractive, but because you reflect something elegant, royal, like you represent Hakadosh Baruch Hu. I feel like you the way you set up your events, the way you dress up, and the way you offer a beautiful collection for everybody to be able to dress tzniut and active, because we don't need to be always with our heels and with our suits, is beautifully put, because you feel good and beautiful in those clothing, and you feel the royalty behind the malchut. Really, in everything that you design, we feel that malchut. I was telling you privately that the first time I saw you, I was really intrigued to know who is that princess. She has a crown hovering over there. I really want to get to know her.
Thank you so much.
I love the idea that you created this brand, because it is so important for a woman to dress up the way that reflects who she is and not what the media or the fashion business wants us to dress up.
100%. And actually, to touch on what you mentioned now, like sometimes modesty can feel, um, I guess, like limiting, or in some ways, I was thinking about it and I was like, when I was thinking truly, what does modesty mean to me? And beyond, like, okay, yes, it's really, to me, I guess it's the way you carry yourself, the way you treat people, the way you speak to people. But modesty is living with intention. Modesty is knowing, is circling back to your core values and knowing your core values so deeply, being so true to yourself, and recognizing that at the end of the day, you can still impact, captivate people, create beautiful things, even though you're staying true to yourself. Like it comes down to aligning everything around you with who you are and living with intention. And that to me is modesty.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm gonna share a story that this was the moment truly, I think, in this path that I ended up on, not by mistake, clearly, but how if at the beginning it felt like this was like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, Hashem, what you're guiding me in this way? And this is the moment that I was like, nope, this is where I'm supposed to be. Um, one of my events, one time I had a client call me and she said, I follow you on social media and I really love your work. And I want to hire you to do my child's Brit Bezrat Hashem. And she was early on in her pregnancy. And I said, okay. So she tells me that there is a venue that she wants me to meet her at. And I went and I had this meeting. And when I got there, like I knew at the beginning that the venue was not a kosher place. But we've done events at non-kosher places that allow outside creators in the past. So I went and I wanted to see what we were talking about. And when I left, one of my rules in with my event planning, my parents own kosher cuisine, as you know, and I don't do events that they don't cater.
It's the
Sorry?
catering. The
Yes,
catering. Yes.
company, yeah. So one of my things is that I have so much hakarat tov to them, and really, like, we work so well together, thank God, that I don't do events that they don't cater. So when I left, I explained to the client, like, "I'm so sorry, but unfortunately, I don't do events that I don't cater, that my parents don't cater." Um, and she was bummed because she's like, "No, I really want this to work out, like, please." And fast forward, time went on. She called me again. She's like, "Okay, like, I get that you can't do my event, but can you please give me a recommendation for other event planners?" And I have a handful of event planners locally that I really have a lot of respect for, and I recommended them, and she ended up hiring one. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Few months go by again, I get a call, and I'm like, she's like, "Hi, like, please, I really want to hire you. How can we make this work?" And I explained, like, in my heart, I was like, "This is the I need to stay true to what I'm saying. Like, this is part of my value system, like." And I was like, I can't do it." So she's like, "Okay." I get one more call, closer to her due
Right.
date, and she's like, "Okay, listen, I really wanna hire you. I'm willing to lose my deposit with the planner that I hired. I'm willing to change the Brit location to a shul. I'm willing to hire your parents as the caterer, but I need you to tell me that you can do the Brit." And at that moment, I was like, "Hold on." I was booked for a bar mitzvah a year prior, and the bar mitzvah was a month later. And I was usually a month before an event, I'm like, "Okay, crunch time." So I was so busy with that event, but I was like, "Okay, Hashem is giving me the opportunity to be part of this child's like brit, to have a real kosher brit. How can you say no?" So I was like, "Okay, I'm there." Um,
Wow.
and she ended up doing exactly that, and it was a beautiful bleat, and at the end of the bleat, the father came over to me, and he's like, which I was always dealing with the wife, so I didn't even realize the impact to this extent, but he came over to me and he said, "I just want you to know that you have a zchut, like, it's in your merit, that I feel like such a heavy weight has been lifted off of my shoulders, and my son had a kosher brit." And I was like, thank you for allowing me that zchut." But that was the moment that I was like, "Hashem, put me here for this reason. I see this again, every single event that I do, there's a story behind it. Every single one. And it's like so powerful, it's so moving, and that's how I know like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
And Hashem placed you in this world with those gifts, with this talent of being able to want to put people together, bring people together in a beautiful, welcoming, and warm way in order to elevate them and do that beautiful mission of kiruv, of bringing people closer to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, getting to know Him in a beautiful way and attractive way. Wow.
Baruch Hashem. It's a huge zchut, and I don't take it lightly, and I'm humbled by it every single time. Anytime I get a different like message, or I had a meeting this week actually, like I walked into a non-kosher coffee shop with my client for a meeting, and happened to be this coffee shop had a mezuzah at their door, and naturally I walked in, I kissed the mezuzah, but I didn't think anything of it. I just
It was
acting
natural.
being me. And then I went to sit down, and the client says to me, like, I have to, she's gonna laugh when she sees this but she says to me, I have to tell you, like, I never do this. And I just found myself making a bracha on this smoothie, but it all was because I saw you walk in and kiss that mezuzah. And I was like, wow, like this is part of that silent modeling that my parents gave me and that I learned from them. And it's like, you don't know who you're impacting and how, and I'm humbled every single time I hear a different thing like this, and I thank Hashem that I can be part of these little wins, and for me that is a win. That this is the win. I say this all the time. I'm not in it for the when I keep my eye on the prize in both of my businesses. The prize for me, it's not the money, and it's not the title, and it's not the what you've built. It's how many people can we impact? How many people can we help? Even Plux, it's a brand with a cause. I donate a percentage of all sales, not maaser, more than that, to Healing Hearts. Because for me, Leilui Nishmat, my grandmother was at Batsulika Alea Shalom, but that is, for me, it's deeper, it's bigger than the business.
Important than the business. Because the truth is that this is building eternity. This is giving a purpose to your days, to your life.
It is. And it also comes full circle. It's all these challenges, all these obstacles, all these growing pains that we go through in life, no matter what they are, how big or how small, even the good things, even the simple things, every single thing is part of the bigger mission. It's part of the mission. It's not in the moment, it feels like a challenge, feels like an obstacle. It's like, why? Like, why am I going through this right now? Or why am I doing this way? Or should I be doing this? Or what career path should I be taking? It's all part of the bigger mission. All the people that we meet, every conversation we have, bigger purpose to it.
How can you inspire women who are maybe students right now, or even women that are older than you, even, it doesn't matter, but to approach an isayon, a challenge, when you are in the middle of that challenge, how can you try to have this thought, it is all part of a bigger mission?
It's hard. It's not always easy to automatically think that way, but I think you have to make that choice. It's a choice. It's how you're gonna see it. You sit back and you look at what card Hashem dealt you, and you think, okay, I can choose to marinate in this and look at it and think why, or I can look at it and say, okay, I'm gonna rise up stronger, and how can I elevate from this? How can I elevate others through this? And no, like, they say, and I believe it, Hashem doesn't give you something that you can't handle. And in life, like a lot of women actually ask me sometimes, married, not married, they ask me about like business, like how do you have time? And and I always say, like, you learn to balance. If Hashem is giving you the Hashem gives you the koach, it just happens. It's really all Hashem. Like it's literally all Hashem. None of it is us. We're just like he's our business partner, he's our life partner, like, that it's a shame.
You know, I once read in the Nefesh HaChaim of Rabbi Chaim Mivolozhin, a beautiful teaching is that if you want to be illimited, you have to invite Hashem in your life. And I think that's one thing that you teach us today is that everything that you did when you say I'm living with intention, you can replace intention with Hashem. You're living hand in hand with Hakadosh Baruch Hu. And I feel that one of the ways that we can get out of a challenge, of a situation that is drowning us, of a belief even sometimes that is limiting us, is putting Hashem in front of us, is understanding, wait, do I want that belief to drive my life? Do I want to be limited by the I don't know, like that bad news that the doctor said? Or do I want Hashem's infinite power? Do I want to walk with him and let him be the master of my life? Give me that energy, that koach, that strength, and understand that he's never there to punish me. Whatever Hashem do is for my ultimate good, even though right now I don't have any idea how it can be good. But again, when you look back to the challenges, to your challenges, to my challenges, to anybody's challenges, those were actually the the trampolines. How do you say, like, to elevate you, to push you
Yeah.
to the next level? This is how you discover your resources, your strength. You can never understand that you're brave if you don't have a situation where you're scared and you have to face it. You can never know that you are patient if you have never been tried with waiting. So I guess, like, this is how the world works, that we have to put Hashem in front of us in every single situation. In happy situation, we thank Hashem, but in challenging situation, we have to realize this is a way for me to stretch myself and get to another level of my mission. It's not easy, as you said, but I feel you do it so beautifully. I haven't been next to you, so I don't know how much struggle it was, but
No, it wasn't too deep, but it's just like you learn to maneuver with life. It's part of life, you go through life and you learn whether it's people you surround yourself with or just different experiences in life and you learn from them.
very interesting. There is one thing that I feel is very present in your life also is the support, the family support, the support system that you have around you. How did it nurture you? And how is it a strength in your life today?
I was definitely very lucky to have a family that really believed in all of my projects and all of my visions, and they were just always supportive. If it's something that made me happy, my parents were behind my back, and obviously, like, if it didn't make any sense, they would tell me, like, okay, you gotta reconsider this," you know? But for example, Plux, when I was ready to launch that company, I mean, I had my parents support me all the way, like, whether it was helping me a little bit financially to start it off or just, like, really being there to, like, push me to continue and not to give up and not to be scared by all the outside noises of, like, "Oh, you're not I don't know if you're gonna make it. There's so many other activewear brands out there." You hear all these different comments, but you're like, "No, no, like, block out the noise, focus, focus, bigger purpose." It's not about the business side, remember? So if it's not about the business side, you're like, "Okay, there's a bigger purpose to this. I'm gonna continue." And they were really by my side every step of the way with that, and even in the event design, they in a very big way through their company, and I was working for them a little bit doing, buffet styling and food presentation. It opened my doors also, and they've thank God it's very helpful when you have that support system. So I can't complain in that regard, and I think that it gives you sometimes, like, not even only my parents, but my peers growing up all my friends, a lot of my friends, I actually do their events today, like full circle moments, and they tell me, "You always had it in you. You've always been this way." And it's like, I know now I can say I know, but I didn't know. I didn't know. It took me time to realize.
You have a good self-esteem when you grew up. Did you notice those talents that you had when you grew up, or it's now that you have the distance and that you realize that you use those talents that you appreciate them?
I knew that I had this talent. I didn't know to what extreme. I didn't know how far I can go with it, and I definitely appreciate it a lot more now because I guess growing up, it wasn't like it wasn't something I was planning on doing, genuinely, it just happened. And then when I was like, "Okay, wait, Hashem really gave me something special, like, let's roll with it." It's it's, um, it's something I appreciate more now. And I definitely didn't see this growing up fully to this extent.
It's beautiful. As a mother of older teenagers, I'm thinking, this is something I also learned from your story. I want to encourage my kids to to feel empowered, to feel free to develop businesses, to believe in their dreams, and sometimes uh, understand that each and every thing that Hashem gave us, even if it's something that can look a little bit silly sometimes, like I have one of my kids who is very good at Lego building. And when he was a kid, everybody thought it was very amazing. And now, like, he's older and he's still very gifted and he uses it a lot to create. But this shows his ability to be to have an engineering mind, to build, to have a vision. And I know that he will use that to grow and to. So I feel like from what we discussed today, I feel that it's very important to be true to yourself, to your core values, as you said, but also to judge yourself favorably and to look at the gift that Hashem gave you without pride, but knowing that, wow, those gifts are tools for me to accomplish a mission. And then also, there's one thing that I noticed from what you said is that you have all, from what you told us, you have envisioned, you have foreseen the future. What do I want to create with that, right? And when you envision and when you try to think, okay, I have those tools, yes, it's true. Now, what do I want to create with those tools? And yes, I could make that amount of money, but this is not the intention behind my efforts. I want to impact people. I want to make people live a better life because they can feel good about themselves. I want them to celebrate their simcha with elegance. I want to enhance their memories through the event planning that I'm doing. I want to give them a good reason to gather. And I love the idea that those are really lessons for all of us. Judge yourself favorably. Look at what Hashem gave you. And then what are you going to do with it? And don't forget to link them to your core values. Because if you want to put intention, if you want to create something that has a meaning, then you have to refer to your values, the ones HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you through your parents, through the place you grew in, your culture, everything.
So beautiful. It's so beautifully said. Like, it's exactly that. Never lose sight of that, of those values and of Hashem, because it's all from Him. And it's literally, we're just messengers in this world.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your inspiration, and your light with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been really a pleasure being on your podcast. I'm really honored and humbled, Bemet. Thank you.
Hashem, thank you so much.
Take care.